People who have dialed numbers written on bathroom stalls. What's your story? I was at a restaurant and they had the give $1 to charity and put your name on this piece of paper we post on our wall. While waiting in the lobby for a friend, I saw one that had a name and a phone number with "call me" under it. I figured, what the hell, why not? Girl answers and I ask if it's her. She says, yes. I explain I'm in the lobby of the restaurant and her name is on the wall with her phone number. She doesn't believe me despite my best efforts to convince her I don't know who she is. Eventually, she asks me to walk out the front door of the restaurant, which I obliged to. And she says, holy crap. Meanwhile, I'm standing in the parking lot looking around trying to figure out who the hell is looking at me. She asked me to take the paper down and thanked me. Apparently, one of her coworkers told her that he did it and she didn't believe him. They worked in the area and frequented the restaurant. Story 2. Found a number on the bathroom stall in a bar. When you need a friend, when something great happens and you have no one to tell, when you want to vent, when you want to be spontaneous, when you need help getting home from a drunken stupor, call number, R.I.P. Ryan. I cried and called to tell her what a great message it was, and we both cried and talked for a few hours. Story 3. I knew a guy that called a number that was written on a $5 bill. He figured, she must be a quality girl because it was a 5 and not a single. She had a great voice on the phone, so they made a date. He played guitar in a popular local band, and there was a hip restaurant next to the club they were playing, so they arranged to meet before the gig. He figured they would have dinner and he would impress the crap out of her with his playing. He truly was a fine guitarist. So he walked into the restaurant and looked for a girl in a pink dress. There was one, and she was enormous. So he slipped out before she saw him. So during the show, he sees the crowd part as the girl in the pink dress makes her way to the front, where she glares at him the entire set. Afterwards, she screamed at him for standing her up. He felt a little guilty, but he said he would have felt worse if he had dinner with her and then dropped her. After all this, his warning was to not call numbers you see on currency. I gotta respect the Hail Mary play here, but yeah, not something I would do. Arranging a date off of a number on a bill? That's wild. Story 4. When my friend and I were about 11, there was a public bathroom in the park where we had soccer practice, and outside that public bathroom was a payphone. And on that payphone was scrawled a number, and above it, the word SEX. I don't recall ever paying for a call, so maybe it was a 1-800, I don't remember. It was a recording of a woman's voice. I only remember the beginning, but I can hear it crystal clear. You wanna have fun? Yeah? And then a bunch of feminine giggling. We would hang up when the recording asked for a credit card number to continue the call. I think we were terrified our parents' credit cards would somehow get charged and we would get caught. Kid logic. We were/are both straight females, but we still called that thing all the time. It was seriously the most risque thing I had ever done to that point, and also probably for a long time afterwards, sadly. Story 5. I used to call the numbers and inform the recipient that there were not such nice things written with their name and number. I'd always ask them back if they were sure they wanted to know, but they would insist. I would tell them verbatim in my radio announcer voice and listen to the shock emanate from the cell phone. They'd always ask me to mark it out, but I would tell them that I didn't have a pen or Sharpie. Found my sister's number once and couldn't stop laughing. Story 6. Best experience. Became regular banging buddies with the guy. He was a bike enthusiast and we went biking several weekends. Worst experience, went to meet the guy and after talking and deciding whose dong would go into whose orifice, found out the guy had lied about his stats. I'm talking real chubby. Beer belly out to 10 months of pregnancy level. Well, anyway, I'm here all revved up. I secretly grit my teeth and say, let's do it. He wants it without a rubber. He claims to be virgin and needs his cherry popped. Seriously, dude, your number is on the frickin' wall of a mall bathroom, and you want me to believe you're a virgin. He got offended at my nasty insinuations and told me to go screw myself and lose my number. I want to see your insert racial slur here face ever, and told me I should go back to my own country where I belong and do unspeakable things to goats. When I told him we have no goats in Toronto, the weather's much too cold for them, he got even more mad. Fun times. Story 7. Okay, so this isn't a bathroom stall, but a hilarious story. Back a long time ago, Paris Hilton had her T-Mobile sidekick hacked, and all her contacts' numbers were leaked online. I was contracting some 15 to 16-year-old kid to do a website for me at the time. About 4 to 5 hours before the list went public, this guy building my site hits me up on AIM. Yeah, that old. And he says, my buddy just did some crazy hack. He got all these celeb numbers. BS, I said, because at the time, this was unheard of. He sends me a text file of about 150 names. The first one that stuck out to me that I knew was Fred Durst. Rang him up, froze, and then said, yes, is this Mr. Durst? And I truthfully explained the exact scenario. He said something about him going to have to turn his phone off now and actually thanked me for giving him a heads up. After that, I waited a few hours and picked a number at random, someone I didn't recognize or know. Wrong idea. She picked up the phone and said my number was now logged into her phone, and the FBI were on the case. Whatever. And she hoped I died. At that moment, I knew the list went public. I logged into some IRC chats and it was story after story of interactions. I don't like his music, but Fred Durst seemed like a cool cat, and I like to think I gave him a heads up before stuff hit the fan. Overall, teenagers do dumb stuff. Story 8. I went to a gig and everyone who frequented this venue would write on the wall while queuing. So me, being drunk already, decided I would ring one because it said something amusing. Guy answers and I tell him where I am and that I was bored, so I rang this number off the wall. We had a convo about who he saw and who I was seeing that night, and due to me being drunk, I sang a song by the band he went to see down the phone to him. Funniest Q bonding moment so far. Story 9. When I was in 7th grade, pubescent and virginal, my sister, 9th grade, informed me my name and number were written on the stall in the girls' locker room. Turns out, not only was I hot, I was good in bed, available for a good time and wild bang. This was music to my ears and raging hormones. I really wanted to do the bang with another human being. My friends did as well, but they were unfortunate, unrepresented suckers. I just sat back and waited for the calls to come in. I didn't stray far from the house, even though I had trained my ear to distinguish our ringer. I could hear the phone from 3 states over. No one called. The summer between 11th and 12th grade, I was at an all-night diner with some friends of mine, dining with my sister and her friends, 'cause college chicks. One of her friends came out of the bathroom talking about some graffiti and I remembered. I mentioned to my sister that I waited for the phone to ring for weeks, and it was a karate chop to my ego. She then informed me she had changed the 3s to 8s, while laughing with her friends at me. That 7th grade optimism did not pay off. Unlucky, brother. Did your sister write it? Did someone else just write that? Because I feel like that's strange for a 9th grader to write that about a 7th grader. I don't know. Is that weird? That's weird, right? Story 10. As crazy as it sounds, I texted a number off a bathroom stall in a movie theater in Texas when I was visiting family. I made some crappy joke and then told them how I got their number off a wall. Somehow it turned into a full-on conversation, and that was how I met the first love of my life. We were together for over a year, and it's just crazy to think it all transpired because I texted a number off of a bathroom stall. That was about 6 years ago, and I haven't seen or talked to Kaylee in years. But it's still a pretty cool story to tell people. Story 11. Not a bathroom stall, but on a bench at my local canal. Me and the wife were walking the dog, and someone had written in very childish writing, "For a good time, text this number." So for a laugh, I did. The resulting conversation was very strange. The person started by asking for pictures of me and asking if I wanted nudes of them. After politely declining, saying I don't think my wife would be happy with that, they said, "Don't worry, your wife can join in." All this time, due to the writing, I presumed the number was written by a bunch of kids because of the style. So I also thought it was probably just some kids screwing around with me. My wife said it's actually most likely some local gay guy looking for actual fun. I never believed it though. This person was very persistent and texted me at least 4 times a day for nearly a week straight, with me constantly ignoring them. Fast forward about a month. I used the local toilets near the canal. These toilets are famous for gay hookups at night as well. There's metal installed in the stalls and big blocks of wood where you'd normally have glory holes. Whilst taking a leak, I see a number written on the stall. I check it against the numbers from the texts, and my wife was right all along. On the stalls, it said, "For the best gay BJ you'll ever receive, text me." Story 12. My cousin met her boyfriend of 3 years by calling a number of a bathroom wall. It said something like, "For a good time, call," and she texted out of curiosity. Apparently one of his friends had put his name and number down there just to mess with him. He usually had guys sending him dong pics and stuff and was considering changing his number. They texted back and forth for over 6 months until they met up. They now live together and seem happy. If they ever end up getting married and have kids, they will have quite the story to tell about how they met. Story 13. I was once really high with a friend and called the number spray painted on the side of a dumpster with the name Yolanda. We wanted to let her know that someone spray painted her name and number on a dumpster at our local shopping center. A lady answered with a heavy Spanish accent who proceeded to yell at both of us because it was her dumpster. The rest was in Spanish in what I assume was an endless stream of expletives. That was the first and last time I called a number like that. I didn't even know people could own dumpsters, geez. Story 14. Wasn't a caller, but the recipient of many. When I was a teenager, some friends of mine were competing in a school competition against hundreds of schools from across the country. This is an event that happens yearly and attracts a lot of national attention. My friends, being the smart arses they are, printed my name and number, and with the typical "call for hot banging" line or whatever. Over the course of the day, I must have gotten upwards of 50 phone calls and texts. Teenagers think they're hilarious. To top it off, my phone number made it to 6 p.m. national news. Towards the end of the event, one random student was being interviewed, so my smart-arse friend decided to write my name, number, and "call me" on an A4 sheet of paper, and stood right in shot for the interview. OP, I hate to break it to you, teenagers think they're hilarious. This one? That's pretty funny. Like, Of all the gotchas, they gotcha. Story 15. 17 years old, was at the park with some of my friends and this bench was covered in numbers. So we took our time trying to get through all of them. The majority went to voicemail and led us nowhere. But the last number we called said, "Call for a great meal." We were like, yeah boys, one of us is gonna get some. So we proceeded to call up the number, only to find out that my mate's phone rang. He was a straight A catering student at the time. Was really surprised the note was truthful. Story 16. Answered a call from a girl who said she found my phone number on a piece of drywall as she was tearing down wallpaper labeled "Good Pat." My name is in fact Pat. I have no idea who lived in that house before she did. I wasn't good friends with anyone in that part of town, nor what I did to differentiate myself from any other potentially bad Pats. We ended up going out to dinner and hung out a few times after that. Nothing ever really came of it, but kind of weird. Story 17. It was actually just a number on a piece of paper stuck in the side of a couch at my high school. Figured I'd give it a shot. She was a bit hesitant to chat with a stranger at first, but we hit it off well. After about 2 weeks, she told me she thought I would be a good match for her best friend. I told her I was willing to talk to said friend. Me and her best friend hit it off immediately. We only lived about 30 or 40 minutes away, so we even eventually met. Ended up dating her. Gave me my first blowy and took my virginity. We dated for a little over a year. 10 out of 10. Would recommend. Story 18. Never called one, but once about 20 years ago when payphones were still a thing, I had just finished making a call on one when it rang. I was walking away, but I turned around and answered it. It was some guy who sounds a little older and a little feminine asking if a name was there waiting on a call. I said, no.
Well, maybe you can help me. You sound really nice. Can you stay and hold the line for a minute until he comes?
Sure.
Well, no use in just sitting here silently. What do?
Long story short, this guy gets me to confirm I bang a ton with my girlfriend and tries to convince me to let him come over and lick my butt while I bang my girl. I hung up on the guy and have spent the rest of my life wondering if I missed an amazing experience because I was afraid of the gay. I'll tell you right now, OP, I don't think you missed out. Just straight up, don't think you did. It's risky business doing that kind of random hookup stuff at the best of times. Random old sounding dude on the payphone? I wouldn't bite. Just me, though. Story 19. Once, my friends called one of the numbers. It was some kind of pizza delivery restaurant. My friends made fun of them, and I don't know what exactly they said, but the police called 10 minutes later saying that someone bomb-threatened the restaurant in the past through a phone. Then the police came to investigate. Everything was okay, but it was kind of scary as we were like 12 or 13. Don't do numbers, kids. Story 20. I was drinking at home on a Friday night when my flatmate came home and asked, "Hey, you want to go on a bit of a road trip to place an hour down the road?" I was already reasonably toasted by this point and agreed. Halfway there, we stopped at a public toilet for a leak. I decided for some unknown reason to text the number written on the wall, and being drunk, totally forgot about it. Until about 5 a.m. Monday morning, I get a text along the lines of, "Hey, I'm blank blank years old. I drive trucks and I'm from place 2 hours down the road. I like being banged and nut in." I replied saying, "Who the hell is this? Not interested." He replied back saying, "You texted me first." It was at that point I remember drunkenly messaging a bathroom wall number. I did not in him. Story 21. Programming class, 11th grade. Nameless number texts me hexadecimal during class while our internet privileges were cut off. I waited until the teacher wasn't looking and typed it in on my phone manually, which came up with binary. Few more minutes of typing and I decrypted that. Then it displayed this message. 2 rows behind you. Do you want to go out? Dated her for a year before moving out of state. Right before I left, I asked her how she got my number. Turns out she found it in a bathroom stall written by my buddies. I feel like there's some gaps in this story that I'm not understanding, but this is like insanely cute, nerdy stuff, so I'm gonna just believe it's true. Story 22. When I was 18, I texted a number that I found written in Sharpie onto a pebble on the beach. Miraculously, the person texted back and was apparently a 15-year-old girl. We chatted for a while about the joys of underage drinking. Though being British, I could now drink legally. And after a while, the conversation petered out and we never texted again. Story 23. I did the modern-day equivalent, which was responding to a Craigslist ad in the casual encounters section. If anyone wants any tips or pointers, I shamefully admit I would be extremely qualified to help you out. Anyway, you start by sending an email through Craigslist to respond to the ad. Had a little back and forth emailing with a woman who's offering to do a glory hole in her apartment, sent pictures, stats, etc., and eventually was given a cell number where we continued texting. Eventually, I was given an address and instructions. Walk in, step up to the curtain, unzip, finish my business, and leave quietly because roommate was sleeping. So anyway, halfway through this blowy, I suddenly realize I am no longer in someone's mouth, I am currently banging them from behind through the curtain, no protection. She was moaning and enjoying it, which really got me off. I told her I was about to finish and she held me in, so I finished inside. I was thinking, Oh my god, what have I done? Texted her afterward. She was on birth control and was allegedly clean. Went and got myself tested immediately and everything was okay. Eventually got her to send a picture. She sent one of a slightly chubby Mexican girl with like half of some black dude's head in frame. I bring up their races because eventually during a later meeting I saw one of her legs through the curtain and she was black, which made me wonder if perhaps she was the dude in the picture. I would only confess this here on this throwaway account. I was so inexperienced that I literally couldn't tell a butthole to a kitty. It was so dark and I was never really in control of where I was sticking my thing. If it were actually a dude, I must have been banging the loosest guy in my town. Anyway, since that discovery, I've stopped going to him or her, even though his or her oral skills were amazing. In this current age of modernity, I'm not exactly ashamed of possibly being a technical homosexual. If anything, it seems like something that could make me more interesting to the right crowd. Story 24. A few years ago, I was having my birthday celebrations in a bar and everyone was extremely drunk. One of my mates found a number on the back of the men's bathroom door and decided to ring it. It was a guy who wanted to meet up to bang. My mate outlined what he was wearing, instead describing another friend who was present, and told the guy to meet him at the bar we were drinking at. The bloke agreed. My mate let everyone, bar my other friend, know about the prank. No one thought this guy would actually show up. An hour or so later, this real greasy, creepy looking guy in his late 30s shows up and walks up to my clueless friend, asking him if his name was X. My friend confirms his identity. The guy spends the next few hours flirting with my extremely confused friend, trying to get him to go back to his place. My drunken friend completely misread the situation, thinking he had made a new, albeit slightly creepy, new mate. This eventually culminated with the bloke offering my mate a shag in the toilets. My mate ran away, and the bloke eventually left wearing a sparkly birthday hat. I did feel sorry for the guy, but it was absolutely hilarious. It kinda sucks for the guy, but also, like, you're playing bathroom number roulette. If you put your own number there, you're rolling the dice for sure. Really, if you're meeting up with someone you've never met before, you're rolling the dice. So anyway, that is all the stories we have for today. Have you ever done this? I don't know if I've ever seen numbers in a bathroom stall before. Admittedly, I don't go into public bathrooms that often. Like, I don't go to bars, like, at all, pretty much. I did for like 2 or 3 years of my life, but not anymore. So maybe I just don't have the life experience to know the joys of bathroom numbers. But yeah, have you done this? If you have and anything interesting happened, throw it in the comments. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I will see you in the next one.